Seasons are changing, and nutrition's going to be important as that season changes for cattle too. And cake calibration is something producers need to be thinking about.
Yeah, so probably a lot of folks are already starting to supplement cattle. And one thing we thought we might just talk about briefly today is calibrating your cake feeder. Most ranches in Oklahoma, or a lot of ranches, have a cake feeder. So I think it's a good idea every now and then, maybe once a year, to just check and make sure you're putting out the amount of feed you think you are.
There's different types of cake feeders. Kind of walk us through maybe the top three.
Well, I mean, the ones that I'm most familiar with would be a trip hopper like we have here. We'll demonstrate in just a minute. There's probably still a few of the maybe older style with just an auger. And there's a few hydraulic models around. Those would be the primary ones. You know, a trip hopper is pretty simple to calibrate because you're just counting the number of clicks or trips. An auger style feeder, you're probably going to need to use time. So let it run for 10 or 20 seconds to calibrate it, for example, and that'll be your standard unit of measure.
And that's important whenever you're actually putting out the cake, because you know, different times of year call for different nutrients.
Yeah, you know, you can't manage what you don't measure.
Right.
And so the guys think they're putting out 6 pounds with each trip. Let's check and see if that's right.
Okay, so how do we do that?
Well, I'll tell you what, I'll just hold the buckets.
Okay.
If you'll pull the plug up in the cab,
okay.
We'll run off about 10 clicks and we'll see what it weighs.
Excellent, we can do that. I got the easy job.
Okay,
just pull the switch.
You can handle it.
So we're going for 10 clicks?
10 clicks.
10 clicks.
That's about it. Yeah, we're not going to get 5 in there. Okay. So that's 9 dumps.
Okay.
We're leaking a little.
Yeah.
Inefficiency everywhere.
Okay. So now we need to weigh them.
Yeah, this is just a scale that we use, digital scale that we use to weigh our newborn calves. And so we've got it hanging on the back of the bale feeder here, and we can see what they weigh. We weighed the buckets ahead of time, and they're about 2.5 pounds each.
Okay. Let's see what we got in bucket number 1. So 28 pounds on that, or 28 and a half on that one.
28 and a half.
So between your bucket and my bucket, if we subtract off the 2.5, what are we looking at here?
If we subtract 5 pounds for both buckets, we've got 51 pounds of feed. And we had 9 dumps, and so that's 5.67, 5 2/3 pounds per click. The guys think it's at 6 pounds, so we might want to adjust it, the opening just a little bit, so we can make up that difference. So they can round it off to 6 rather than 5.7. So,
what are some of the issues that could cause a dump to be inaccurate? I mean, there's a lot of moving parts up there.
Well, it's raining today, and so we just discovered that one thing you ought to consider. You know, the first few dumps on a wet, moist day, there's probably going to be some moisture in there, and then you're not going to get as much feed out. So the type of feed, this is a distiller's grains. We call it a cube. As you can see, it's a kind of a poor excuse for a cube,
right,
because there's a lot of fines in that. And so you would anticipate probably the more fines you've got. Well, I don't know. It depends on how much fat is in the feed, how much it bridges. The more bridging, probably the less you're going to get out each dump. And then the less dense the feed is, the less it's going to weigh per click. So those factors would be involved as well.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, David. And for more information on calibrating cake feeders, go to our website, sunup.okstate.edu.